Welcome to Pure Experiences live stream. In this series, we are reading the Mandukya Karika by Gaudapada. So let us dive right into the text once again. And let us find if there is something new. Whenever we search for something new in such kind of texts, we always come back with something less. Instead of getting new concepts, we come back with less burden of concepts. Although the book does introduce a lot of concepts, then they are systematically shown to be empty, nothing. So here is the 34th verse of chapter 2 about the illusions. And this manifold does not exist as identical with Atman, nor does it ever stand independent by itself. It is neither separate from Brahman, nor is it non-separate. This is the statement of the wise. Identical with Atman. So highly mysterious statement from the wise people, that the manifold, which means the multiplicity of appearances, the world, the body, the people, the mind, the thoughts, memories, desires, they do not exist, or they are not identical with Atman, but they are also not independent of Atman, not separate from Brahman, one and the same thing as Brahman, but it is not also combined with Brahman. So what does this tell us? Such statements are designed to clear the mind, to stop the mind from getting into a web of concepts, because the mind is habitual of thinking in terms of worldly experiences. Its logic is derived out of worldly experiences. Its rationality is derived out of what appears here. And when it tries to project that kind of thinking onto the reality or the existence, it fails. The ordinary language also fails, because it is not necessary that what we see around us and what we conclude from the observations of experiences will apply to the whole in which the appearances are. So the whole is the Brahman or Atman, and it does not yield very well to the limited logic and rationality of the mind. So as soon as the student starts forming concepts about Brahman, or starts deriving relations among the manifold and the Atman, the Guru steps in and simply cuts these linkages. He will say, no, it does not apply there. No, these causalities and these rules, they do not apply there. And no, there is no relation between what appears and what is, but nothing will appear if the Atman is not there. Then probably somebody will be baffled. What do you mean by that? And it means what it means. Do not try to use your limited concepts and limited logic to understand it. It is not meant to be understood like this. It is not meant to be understood like an object, like an experience. Remember, that which is not an experience. The experiences appear. The experiences are not real. So that which the kind of thinking that applies to the appearances does not apply to the substratum. So stop doing that. And these kind of verses, I mean, wherever you go in Advaita or Buddhism and Zen, so on, you will see these mutually contradicting, paradoxical statements which make no sense. And they are served to you as the highest teaching. Yes, the Atman goes through 3 states and Om and all. They are lower teachings. They are just initiation into Advaita or Zen or whatever. But these are the higher teachings. Where you're told to not use the mind. Initially, you're told to use your mind, your rational faculties and logical thinking, critical thinking. And now you can understand why this is so. Why do we go through this kind of loops to come to this kind of statement that, well, whatever you thought is not right. The first stage is needed to get rid of the beliefs, blind beliefs, superstitions, conditioning, indoctrination, blind faith. When that is cleared, then the student is ready to let go of the mind also. Let go of the rationality, critical thinking, logic, inference, deduction, and direct experience also. That is why I told you in the beginning that you read these scriptures to get more, but every page leaves you with less. This is very typical of spiritual things. Any path in the field of spirituality will do this. There is less of the body, there is less of the ego, there is less of the person, there is less of the world, there is less of the other worlds, and so on. Less and less and less. It is more like letting go instead of accumulating. The problem is the accumulation, just like we discussed in the last parts. So it will be like this for the rest of the book. You get the drift now. Shankar is saying, why is non-duality called the highest bliss? One suffers from misery when one finds differences in the form of multiplicity. That is, when one finds an object separate from another. For when this manifold of the universe, with the entire relative phenomena consisting of prana, etc., imagined in the non-dual Atman, the ultimate reality, is realized to be identical with Atman, the supreme reality, then alone multiplicity ceases to exist. That is, prana do not appear to be separate from Atman. It is just like the snake that is imagined to be separate from the rope, but that does no longer remain as such when its true nature is known with the help of a light to be nothing but the rope. This manifold idam does never really exist as it appears to be. That is to say, in the form of prana, etc. Because it is imaginary, just like the snake seen in the place of the rope. Therefore, different objects such as prana, etc., do not exist as separate from one another, as buffalo appears to be separate from a horse. The idea of separation being unreal, there is nothing which exists as separate from the object of the same nature or from other objects of different nature. The Brahmanas, that is the knower of self, know this to be the essence of the ultimate reality. Therefore, the implication of the verse is that non-duality alone, on account of the absence of any cause that may bring about misery, is verily the highest bliss. So let us see what Anand Giri is saying now. Does this insentient manifold exist as one with Atman? This position is untenable, as the sentient Atman and insentient universe can never be identical. For if it be admitted that the manifold is identical with Atman, which is one and without a second, then multiplicity cannot exist. So as soon as you say that it is one with everything that appears is one with Atman, then you cannot say that there is everything, because there is only one. But they cannot be identical because you do not find Atman in the multiplicity. So both statements become false. It is not identical with Atman and it is not separate from Atman. The snake which in the darkness appears to be separate from a rope is known with the help of a light to be the same as rope. The light does not show that the rope is identical with the snake, as such identity is an impossibility, but it reveals that only thing that exists is the rope, and even that which appeared as the snake in the dark was nothing but the rope. Similarly, Atman alone exists, and the phenomena which appears through ignorance to be separate from Atman is also Atman from the standpoint of truth. So if you are confused, then that is what it is meant to do. Do not take up a position regarding the manifold and Atman. It is meaningless. So the rope and the snake comes to the rescue again here. Can we say that the snake which appears in the rope is identical with the rope? Is the snake same as rope? And your mind will say, no, rope is rope, snake is snake, they are different. But when the light is turned on, no snake, only rope. It was not different from the rope. You took it as different. That is the ignorance. It will appear as different as long as there is ignorance. As soon as there is knowledge, the snake is gone. The question of difference, separation or identity, both should disappear with the snake. In other words, now the question of whether the snake was identical with the rope or whether it was separate from the rope should be moot. It should not arise now after the truth is seen. So he is saying, similarly, Atman alone exists, and the phenomena which appears through the ignorance to be separate from Atman is also Atman from the standpoint of truth. So taken as a whole, the phenomena is Atman. But there is no phenomena if there is no Atman. So that is why it appears so paradoxical, because the old way of thinking is still being used to comprehend that which cannot be comprehended. So those who are still worried about what this phenomena is it identical with Atman, or it appears as a causal event out of the Atman, or it is totally separate and independent from the Atman, and so on. These all ways of thinking must be dropped. Because once the illusion of it is seen, then you will find that these questions, they apply to the illusion, not to the truth. So that which appeared as separate from Atman, from the standpoint of the truth, is nothing but Atman. It is because the idea of separation is unreal. A pot is known only in relation to the cloth or another object. One cannot totally exclude another. Therefore, the objects that are perceived to exist are not mutually independent from the standpoint of truth. It is the non-dual Atman alone which appears as multiple objects, having relations through ignorance. Duality or multiplicity does never exist, as it cannot be demonstrated. So he is saying that you will not know the pot if there is no cloth. That means the pot depends on the cloth to exist. If the pot cannot exist without the cloth, then there is no pot. this is how we deconstruct the multiplicity, and we say one cannot totally exclude another. So when we examine the multiplicity of the phenomena, we find there are only relations. There is no multiplicity actually. Things stand in relation to each other, not independent of each other. And if they are not independent of each other, they are not independent of the Atman also. It is non-dual. And there are only appearances of multiplicity, which are divisions made by the mind in the wholeness, in the whole of the existence, the non-dual existence, by ignoring the relations. If you examine it very closely, you will find that nothing is separate from anything. It is all one interconnected whole. So this should be meditated upon. Why the idea of separation is unreal. This should be contemplated, and you will find that it is only an idea. It is fully, completely mind created. They are only concepts. Our direct experience is of unity, not of multiplicity or duality. On top of the web of the relations, the mind has projected objects. This is the ignorance. Objects. Number 35. By the wise who are free from attachment, fear and anger, and who are well versed in the meaning of the Vedas, this Atman has been verily realized as totally devoid of all imaginations, free from the illusion of the manifold and non-dual. So you can see a very, very huge word here, which is equal to one sentence. Vitarag Bhaya Krodh Munir. So these are the people who are free from attachment, fear and anger. They have realized the reality, and therefore these qualities are gained. Or actually these qualities, the negative qualities, are dropped, and nothing is gained actually. And they now start comprehending the verses of the Ved or the Vedanta and other scriptures, and they can now sit with a guru and actually converse with the guru. Before this, it is not possible to talk to the guru. Before this, it is only possible to ask a question to the guru. We cannot talk to the guru. because you do not know what he's saying. So that has, I have injected my own commentary there. Now let us see what Shankar said. The perfect knowledge as described above is thus extolled. The sages who are always free from all blemishes, such as attachment, fear, spite, anger, who are given to contemplation, who can discriminate between the real and the unreal, and who can grasp the essence of the meaning of the Vedas. That is, who are well versed in the Vedanta, which is the Upanishads, do realize the real nature of this Atman, which is free from all imaginations and also free from this the illusion of the manifold. This Atman is the total negation of the phenomena of duality, and therefore it is non-dual. The intention of the Shruti passage is this: the Supreme Self can be realized only by the Sannyasins, men of renunciation, who are free from all blemishes and who are enlightened regarding the essence of the Upanishads, and never by others, that is, those vain logicians whose mind is clouded by passion and who find truth only in their own creeds and opinions. So he completely demolished these superficial people. It is not that if you read all these scriptures and Upanishads and whatever, or it is not that you become a beggar on the street, that you will realize as a precondition for the realization or enlightenment. The enlightenment happens first, and then these are the dropping of these lower qualities and dropping of the greed and hoarding behavior, which is the characteristic of Sanyasi. They are consequences of knowledge. They are not precondition for knowledge. And also, knowing the scriptures, debating about the scriptures, and holding oneself above others is a sign of pride, not of enlightenment. It is a lower nature manifesting as the knower of the scriptures. My opinion is most important, not yours. My belief system is superior to yours. So these are the lowly people. Even though they are very smart, but they know nothing. They are trapped in their own minds. They are not the Buddha. They are slaves of the Buddhi. So let us learn from this thing. It's a very good warning there. That is why, many people I see, they were not especially interested in scriptures. For example, Krishnamurti or even Osho. They do not teach what is written here and what is written there and who said what. They only question. They put a question mark on everything. Sometimes it goes to the, limits of insanity. But being critical is the key. Being agnostic is most desirable quality. Clean up your blackboard. If there is already stuff on the blackboard, then nothing new will be written there, or it will become mess of concepts there. Let us not fall into this trap. So many newcomers, they start like this and then it takes many years to clean it up. And the knowledge, just like I said, is not that difficult. It is the simplest thing possible in this universe, the knowledge of the self. What makes it complicated is the stuff that is loaded on top of a very clear mind. So become like a child and then you will understand very quickly. If you're full of it, if you're rich, then you will not go there. Then you won't be able to carry this burden of richness, of ideas and concepts and pride and hubris, false notions of superiority because you have some 3-letter words behind your name. That will keep you ignorant. That will keep you miserable. So drop everything. Some people are so afraid that some gurus tell them, okay, drop it for now, you can pick it up later. While you go from my ashram, you can pick it up. Pick up your stuff. For the rest of your life, you can stay there. So you will find once you drop these things, then there is no scope of picking them again. You prefer the lightness rather than the burden that you are carrying. It is freedom, and the mind likes freedom. It took up the concepts and indoctrination because of fear, because of a need to survive. The purpose of this praise is to attract the attention of pupils towards the realization of truth. So yes, that is also done sometimes, that the teachings are glorified and so on. And the student fails to realize truth if his mind is at any moment clouded by passion. It is therefore laid in the Vedanta that a student, before aspiring to realize truth, must be well established in the fourfold prerequisites, such as discrimination between the real and the unreal, renunciation of the unreal, a total self-control, and a strong hankering after realization. So there are some qualities of the student which I have also gone into in depth, and these are the mentioned qualities, but there are more, like a very sharp intellect, very good command over the mind, which means self-control, which means the mind is not getting distracted by other things, ordinary things, and the power of concentration, the ability to sit and listen for long hours, and to meditate and contemplate, introspect on what was told, what was heard for long hours, like many hours per day, and an attitude of surrender, that I don't know, I am here to learn, I am not here to teach my guru. I'm not here to tell my guru that you are wrong. So, this kind of surrender and respect for knowledge and love for knowledge is necessary. Otherwise, the student learns nothing. Or he learns some words and then goes and shows off others, shows off in the world, in the society from where he came from. Now, instead of using gold or gadgets or big cars and big houses, he shows off through big Sanskrit words and a tilak or whatever people think is great. That is not a student. That is a stupid. And this is to refer to the contention of agnostics that reality is ever unknown and unknowable. Reality can certainly be known and realized if the student has got the necessary equipments for such realization. So, and this is not totally wrong, isn't it? all that can be done is drop your blind beliefs. Dropping of the blind beliefs, superstitions and dogmas, that can be done. That is in our hands. And the rest, whatever it is, will be known. Then it will be certainly be known. Then you will start questioning what does it mean to know something, because it will be so deep now. And that is the real meaning of agnosticism, that you reach a level which is so deep that you question the knowledge itself. We are not going to go there, you see. That will be another discussion. But from the point of view of the Advaita, the wise person will say that I do not know this thing which is called reality through the mind, by using the mind. I do not know this. I do not know this as an object. I do not know this as an experience or a relation or a concept or a model. That comes very, very close to agnosticism. So, as you progress on your inquiry and on your path of knowledge, you will find that this feeling of not knowing anything becomes the highlight of your spiritual path. It is only the ignorant person who says that his vision of reality is alone true. But to a wise man, everything is Brahman. To him, anything that may be called non-Brahman is ever non-existent. So that will happen if you get involved in this pursuit of knowledge, that you will find that I was the biggest ignorant person on this planet. I had all the ignorance that is possible because I held on to my own concepts of what is real or what is unreal. Who am I? How should I behave? How should others behave? And I was fixing everything else except myself. So that is surely a sign of ignorant person. The ignorant person, the hallmark of the ignorant person is, I am always right and everybody else is always wrong, and I am perfect and everything else should be fixed according to my wish. I need to convert everyone into my belief system because that is the right one. So it can become a mental affliction, and you can see the consequences of it. If this kind of person attains power, which will happen because you see all people are ignorant just dumb sheep. So it causes a deterioration in the society, the human society as a whole. This has happened already. "36. Therefore, knowing the Atman to be such, fix your attention on non-duality. Having realized non-duality, behave in the world like an insensible object." Now, some people are going to object to this insensible object thing. So let us find out. This much is okay. Fix your attention on non-duality. Abide in non-duality. That is his suggestion. So Shankar says, as a non-duality, on account of its being the negation of all evils, is bliss and fearlessness. Therefore, knowing it to be such, direct your mind to the realization of the non-dual Atman. In other words, concentrate your memory on the realization of non-duality alone. Having known this non-dual Brahman, which is free from hunger, etc., unborn and directly perceptible as the self, and which transcends all codes of human conduct, by attaining to the consciousness that I am the Supreme Brahman, behave with others as one not knowing the truth. That is to say, let not others know what you are and what you have become. Pretty controversial stuff. This is, probably people are not going to agree with him. So let me see what Anand Giri is saying. It is because the non-dual Brahman is beyond the duality of the manifested manifold. Yes, and your puny ethics, what is right, what is wrong, what should be the conduct of a human, and all these do not apply to the Brahman. It is too big. And a wise man does not broadcast his realization before the world. The sentence may mean that a wise man, on account of his being established in the non-dual Atman, does not see others as separate from him, and therefore he does not assume consciously the role of a knower, a Gyani. So this is what it means actually. So insensible object, probably that is not a very good word. Here is the Sanskrit word Jadavalokamacharet. So it may be interpreted like you can translate whatever you want to translate it into, but it can be interpreted as do not treat yourself as special simply because you realize something which others do not realize. Look at the others, they are not there actually. They are all my appearances, isn't it? They are all appearances of the Atman, the same non-dual Atman. There is no multiplicity of people. There is multiplicity of appearances. And yes, because it is possible, there is a possibility that there will be ignorance, just like there was ignorance here. Now, realizing this, that there is nobody else, there is no reason to assume that I am special. And there is no reason also to assume that whatever standards the society wants you to follow, are to be followed. There is no reason to assume that also. So, Advait or non-dualism does not really prescribe a lifestyle. There are no commandments, there is no good, there is no bad. It is left to the student to decide that. And usually, and the knowers, they simply isolate themselves from all situations, and they spend rest of their lives in discussion of spiritual topics, philosophy, science, and common sense. When you are so detached, then you will find that there is no need to act in a right way, and there is no need to act in a wrong way. So I think there are more problems in streaming today. I'm getting continuous errors here, but nothing to worry. This thing is being recorded on my PC also, so it is being published as a series of podcasts on my podcast page. So as and when I get time, I upload it on as a podcast. So I was saying, yes, once you are established as the non-dual Atman, you do not see others as separate. And when you do not see others as separate, well, the right behavior arises naturally. You will behave with others as you behave with yourself. That will be a natural consequence of it. So we do not, it should not be assumed that the codes of conduct and the laws of the society are to be broken. No. Do that which is most important, which is most necessary, and stay away most of the time. Stay away from the worldly stuff. And then neither the good qualities will stick to you, nor the bad qualities will stick to you as a human. So some people may say that the real test of knowledge is returning to the society. Well, why not? You can do that. And then there will be some people who will say that oscillate between the social life and solitary life. And yes, why not, if that is your preference? And then some people will say, okay, leave everything and stay in the jungle, in the cave. Yes, why not? Go and do that. You see, no rules apply to the one who is established in the Brahman. There are no rules. Advaita Vedanta does not prescribe a rule. No, you don't need to wear the orange clothes and shave your head and or grow your beard or whatever, or leave your footwear forever or beg for food. Well, these do's and don'ts, they apply to specific communities, specific traditions, not to the knower of the Brahman. You can do whatever you please, you see. Nothing is prescribed in the scriptures unless you join a tradition, which means I don't imagine. I cannot imagine why anybody would want to do that, but some people have this preference. So they think that joining a tradition will speed up the spread of knowledge and so on. It does not happen, in my opinion. The traditions, they become dogmatic with time. By time, I mean hundreds of years, not your lifetime. So it totally depends on the leftover preferences in the mind. But he says, there are one or two things which should be remembered. Do not think you are a special person. Act like an ordinary person. Do not announce yourself as the knower of the truth. And that does not mean that if people come to you to ask, you say, no, I don't know anything. You pick and choose. You pick and choose the students carefully, because not everybody is worthy of knowledge. That is another topic. How to adapt to this new condition now as a human. Number 37. The man of self-restraint should be above all praise, salutation, and all rites prescribed by the Smriti in connection with the departed ancestors. He should have his body and the Atman as his support. He should have this body and the Atman as his support and depend upon chances. That is, he should be satisfied with those things for his physical wants that chance brings to him. So, what should be his code of conduct in the world? It is thus stated: he should give up all such formalities as praise, salutation, etc., and be free from all desires for external objects. In other words, he should take up the life of a Paramhans Sanyasi. The Shruti also supports this view in such passages as knowing this Atman. This is further approved in such Smriti passages as with their consciousness in that Brahman, their self being that, intent on that, with that for their supreme goal. The word chalam in the text signifying changing indicates the body because it changes every moment. The word achalam signifying unchanging indicates the knowledge of the self. He has the changing body for his support when he, for the purpose of such activities as eating, etc., forgets the knowledge of the self, the real support of Atman, unchanging like the Akash, and relates himself to egoism. Such a wise man never takes shelter under external objects. He entirely depends upon circumstances. That is to say, he maintains his body with whatever food or strips of cloth, etc., are brought to him by mere chance. And Anandgiri says, no wise man recites any hymns to the deities or bows down before them, as he has no desires which can be fulfilled by their favor or grace. The word swadha in the text refers to the ceremonies known as Shraddha, a rite performed by the propitiation of the departed ancestors. Not Shraddha, it is Shraddha. Every offering in that ceremony is accompanied by the utterance of that word. The sense is that the wise man renounces even those actions connected with the dead which are obligatory for all people of the three higher castes. This is because the man of knowledge, on account of his realization of the non-dual Atman, does not find anything separate or different from his own self. Such a man belongs to the highest order of monks and moves in the world like other men. Only he does not declare that he is the knower of highest reality. So, a sannyasi need not be thought of as somebody great. He is very ordinary. He is probably more ordinary than the ordinary people. But that can be said to be the highest order. So it is reverse actually. Whatever we think is the highest is lowest in terms of monkhood. So a wise man in this text is said to have both body and self for his abode. I mean, it does not mean that you drop the body, you kill yourself. The meaning is this: when he meditates on the Atman, detaching his mind from all external desires, then he is said to have that Atman for his support and abode. But when his mind comes down to the consciousness of the body on account of his feeling the necessity for food, he is said to have his body for his support and abode. So it is like a dual existence. So you juggle between these things as Atman, but again the body will be seen as a reality in itself, and then whatever has been made available for the body through chance should be done, should be accepted. In this way, it is the life of total surrender, total renunciation. Although it will be very difficult to find such a monk these days, but as you can see, these are not the rules, these are recommendations, or these are whatever happens naturally to a person who is a knower of the highest reality. The wise man described in this verse never takes the external objects as real, like the ignorant person, but the word yati, a man of self-control, does not signify the man of the highest realization, as it is not at all possible for the latter to forget at any time the knowledge of Brahman. This verse refers to the student aspiring after the highest knowledge. The next verse indicates the condition of a Gyani. So, what is the meaning of chance? Well, it is that you do not attach too much significance on staying alive or too much significance on a specific kind of lifestyle. And he says that is to say, such a man does not make any conscious effort to procure his food or clothing. If it is coming without much effort, without much fight, without much struggle, then you take it. If it is not, leave it. The worst that can happen is dissolution of this illusory form, which you do not want anyway. So there is a total absence of preferences here. Now, I can understand that for a modern mind, this will look like very horrible condition. So, and the message that is here is, do not live an artificial life. That is the message. Do not live like an ignorant person. Let that happen which is most necessary, and then enjoy the rest of your time. Nothing needs to be done here. You are not going to take anything away from this place. There is no need to worship things. There is no need to conduct the rituals. The ancestors do not exist for you. The dead bodies need to just simply burnt away and forgotten. And just live your life peacefully. It is not a special thing. It is another dream. So there is no need to stir up the stuff here. There is no need to even enlighten others. There is no need to declare what I know. There is no need to debate what is written in this book and written in that book. That will be, I think, a final stage in the life of a Gyani, where all these unnecessary activities will be gradually dropped. If you think that, oh, I know the Atman now, but I'm still the old person that I was, don't worry. There's nothing wrong in that old person. It is a pile of memories only, what you call a person, and they will transform in any way. There is no rule now after this. Actually, the karmic substance of the Gyani is burnt away as soon as this is realized. So, nothing predictable will happen in his life. "38. Having known the truth regarding what exists internally, that is within the body, as well as the truth regarding what exists externally, that is the earth, he becomes one with reality, derives his pleasure from it, and never deviates from the real." So Shankara has to say something here. The truth regarding external objects such as the earth and the truth regarding the internal objects such as the body is that these are as unreal as a snake seen in the rope or objects seen in dream. For there are such Shruti passages, modification being only a name arising from speech. The Shruti further declares Atman is both within and without, birthless, causeless, having no within or without, entire, all-pervading like the Akash, subtle, unchanging, without attributes and parts and without action. That is truth, that is Atman, and that the art. Knowing it to be such from the point of view of truth, he becomes one with the truth and derives his enjoyment from truth and not from any external object. But a person ignorant of truth takes the mind to be the self and believes the Atman to be active like the mind and becomes active. He thus thinks his self to be identified with the body and deviates from Atman, saying, "Oh, I am now fallen from the knowledge of self." When his mind is concentrated, he sometimes thinks that he is happy and one with the self. He declares, "Oh, I am now one with the essence of truth." But the knower of self never makes any such statement, as Atman is ever one and changeless, and it is impossible for Atman to deviate from its own nature. The consciousness that I am Brahman never leaves him. In other words, he never loses the consciousness regarding the essence of the self. The Smriti supports this view in such passages as the wise man views equally a dog or an outcast. He sees who sees the Supreme Lord remaining the same in all beings. Anandgiri says, there being no existing entity other than Atman, this thought makes a man happy. So this is very freeing, this is very blissful, that I don't have anything to take care of now, I don't have anything to do, I do not have any duties left now. There is no I left, there is no person left, it is all Atman. So this produces a very content mind, a very peaceful mind, a very happy mind. There are no enemies and there are no friends, there are no relatives and there are no strangers, The dog and the outcast and the king and everybody and the gods and goddesses, they are all same. No difference at all. Everything is seen as myself. So there is some comment on the yogis or mystics who think that the Atman can be realized only by withdrawing the mind from external objects and concentrating on something within. Well, this is a belief in many people, many seekers, that the Atman resides within. That comes from a literal interpretation of the scriptures. Do not do that. Do not interpret the scriptures. Look at your experience also. It is because even when the mind is active and creating ideas, the man of realization knows it to be Atman. If one sees multiplicity, this multiplicity is nothing really existent which can make the non-dual Atman become dual. The act of becoming, creation or manifestation is an illusion. The rope never becomes the snake. Even when a Gyani eats or drinks or does any other act, he only sees the non-dual Brahman. He never deviates from the real. His condition has thus been described in the Gita. Brahman is the offering, Brahman the oblation, only Brahman is the oblation. Poured into the fire of Brahman, Brahman verily shall be reached by him who always sees Brahman in action. The state of a student has been described in the previous words. A student, when urged by hunger and thirst, thinks himself as something different from reality. A mystic or a yogi thinks that he can realize truth only by withdrawing his mind from the external objects. But a man of highest realization, who knows that he is the supreme reality, never loses that consciousness, and even in the midst of the world keeps intact the knowledge of his identity with the non-dual Brahman. Here ends the Gaudapada Karika on illusion and Shankar Bhashya on the chapter. So we have finished the chapter. So there is an interesting comment by Shankar here that there are some students who will see this happening to them, that, oh, I was enlightened just a minute ago. Now I am not. Now I am back in the body. Or in the last retreat in the ashram, I felt the Atman. Now I do not feel the Atman. And this is very natural. This means that the conviction is not final. It means that still the mind is slipping to its old behavior patterns, its old way of thinking. And this will settle down somewhere. Even if you do not become a full-fledged Sanyasi, there will be some realization, and there will be a change in the substance of the mind. It is purified now. It will give up its many old things, if not everything. So there is nothing to worry if this slipping of the awareness happens. As soon as you realize your true nature again, which does not take more than 2 minutes, then you abide as that again. There is no need to worry why this is happening. Do the inquiry again. You see the illusion again. Repeat. There is no other practice here. Some people may think that probably I am not meditating. Probably I need to go deeper in meditation by concentrating on something odd in my mind. Or my diet is not pure enough, I need to change my diet so that I can know the Atman again. And these are old ways of thinking. Just drop them. If you are focusing on the mind, that means the attachment or the identification is with the mind. If you are focusing on the body or the diet or the clothes or the malas, the identification is with the body. Question again, put a question mark on it again. Why is it necessary? Is it going to give me knowledge, or is it just a behavior pattern in my mind? Or there are some people, oh no, I did not worship this deity and now it's not good for me. I'm going to lose my status as Atman. Or oh no, I ate this stuff which is banned in Advait, so I lost my Atman now. And I don't say that don't do this. It will happen sometimes as the mind is maturing in these. It is dropping the concepts, but it is doing it slowly. So nothing to worry. And the characteristic of the truth is that it cannot be lost. Once it is there, it is there. Only thing that just like the clouds, sometimes they cover up the sky or the sun. The old patterns in the mind, old thinking will cover up the realization sometimes, and it produces this kind of odd behavior. If there is a guru, the guru can make it straight, but if there is no guru, then you will need to evaluate yourself again and again and again. What old sanskars are manifesting. Let them, if you don't worry about them, or you can correct them if there is a desire to correct them. So the test of the knowledge is that there will be more peace, there will be more happiness, there will be more carelessness, there will be more surrender, there will be less hankering and attachment after people or objects or whatever, and there will be absence of stupid kind of behaviors. Like you do not sit in the cemetery with the burning bodies, or do not surround yourself with the skull or dead bodies of animals. That kind of stupidity will be dropped. That is the progress. That is a sign of progress. You are not worshipping the 20 deities that your mother-in-law or grandmother worships and says that this is a must to become a Gyani. All these, odd behaviors will be slowly dropped. So when we say this thing, it is very common saying that my food is Brahman now. I am Brahman eating the Brahman. This is how a Gyani sees the world. Everything is Brahman, and these are the changing patterns in the world. Actually, nothing needs to change. And if something is really afflicted, the behavior is totally kind of extreme, that will be automatically corrected by the realization that it is not necessary. It is not according to my goals of staying as Brahman all the time, abiding in the consciousness all the time. If this is your goal, then it is very easy. Then you don't need to do much. Spend the rest of the life as normally, in the most ordinary possible way as possible. This is the recommendation of the scripture. It is in front of you. So here we can stop today. There is this very big chapter of Advaita Prakarana about non-duality in front of us now, with only 48 verses. It goes on and on and on. I don't know when this will be over, but I'll try to finish it. If it becomes tiring, if it becomes boring, I'll just drop it. But I don't have any plans, really. I'm just going further. I mean, reading it just because it is very interesting, isn't it? So, if it is Advait Prakarana, what did we just read in the last two chapters? And that will be an interesting thing to see. So, I'll see you again with another live stream on Mandukya Karika, and we'll start the next chapter. Thank you very much for listening.